Finally, I found the purpose for this Danville's thread. So in this video I'm going to talk about thread control, catching ribs, twisting ribs, one or the other way, it makes a difference, then wing case and how the bleeding is actually a problem, alternative to UV glue, and as a point number 7, or the last one, is how to be smart. So let's go into it. Danville's was the first thread I ever used. Nowadays it's not so special for me as it used to be. Well, there are too many threads with that are available that I forgot about Danville's basically. Even with modern flies, it's difficult to find originator with some patterns. But for this one, first Perdigon was said to be tobacco Perdigon or Madeira, and it was created by Pablo Castro some 20 years ago. So if you look at it, it's pretty imitative pattern. Not as attractor as most of them are today. Like if you see, most of them are made with milers or tinsels or flash, and they're like very shiny, so attractor patterns. Madeira, which means wood in Spanish, is basically imitative pattern, I guess, for them there, because it looks like that sandy wooden color that resembles a lot of insects. For this particular fly, I'm going to use a hook in size 16 that has classic shape, as you can see, but rather short shank and wide gap. Model doesn't help you much because this is Chinese brand, but you can use whatever you get and whatever suits your needs. As you can see, I've been using TMCO 900BL, this one, so it's perfectly fine, or something more classic for dry flies. For this one, let me just change it so you can see it. So this one. So it's up to you basically. Now immediately, if you want to catch this, catch it with, I like to use GSP here because it's not stretchy, it's slippery, so I waxed it before I start tying, and I lay a thread foundation almost all over the shank, just to prevent it from spinning around the hook shank. Then next step is to fix this bead into the position with this figure of 8s over the bead, and this will do a couple of things. It will fix the bead into position, then go again over the shank to further prevent the spinning over it. And the second thing that it will do is it will provide more space for wing case cover, and I will explain how in a moment. Now, apart from the hook and from the bead, that's 2.8 millimeters, I'm gonna use some cocktail Leon fibers barbs by Whitening. Try to align the tips, not super necessary, but it looks better. Decide on the length, it's up to you, perfectly fine to do whatever you want. Now you can use push up to push down to keep them on the top of the hook shank, or if the hook is large enough and your fingers are not too thick, you can just hold them in place, it's up to you then. Again, with finish. And now I'm going to show you what I meant by creating a wing case cover. So just color this place here, and it will create this black dot. Now 502 is the glue that I've been using to secure my flies for years now, and sometimes I've been using it instead of UV gel because it dries clear, it's water resistant, and that's all I need here. As you can see, the black dot is here. Leave it to dry, and that leads me to jump into my final tip here, prepare, before you start tying actual fly, prepare enough of these bodies, underbodies, call them whatever you want, and then you could just jump into mass tying of your flies. Now I'm going to use that Danibles from the beginning of the video, super thick, and I'll just have very few layers of this over the body of the fly. You want to keep body pretty slender here. I'll use Polyfloss Small by Teak String for the ribbing material, and I want to use it on this side, so I'll just go and thread trap the material. Now this is not cut well, so I'm just gonna cut and even the tips, so I don't have to do it on the fly. Basically, pull out. Now flat thread, make a first layer of everything. Let me see, where am I at? Keep the thread flat, so counter spin the bobbin holder, and now make the taper. By overlapping the thread, you can create slight taper over here. If you want, you can go a little bit more, but then don't forget to create more flat thread, because you will have more control over the taper, as you can see it here. Now, on purpose, deliberately, I'm creating this gap over here. This one here. You will see now why. Now you can twist the ribs in counterclockwise or clockwise direction, and that will jump your ribs. So literally, then your ribs will migrate. If you wrap them, if you look from above, in a counterclockwise direction, the ribs will jump into your left. Well, I'm right-hand tire, so it's going to be my left. And it's good if you're wrapping material that you want to be tight. But if you want ribs to try to separate them, then go in a clockwise direction. Because even if you lose the tension, your ribs are going to go towards the eye, and it will make your life easier, basically. So I twisted it hard. It's on the far side because I will just miss the tail, as you can see. And because I twisted it hard, they will pop up more, as you can see here. But as I add ribbing material, as I add UV later on, it will actually decrease in intensity. And now it will be very clear why I left this gap over here. Because of this, to hide the rib. Okay. Whip finishing is with flat thread, as you can see. And it's very important to do the following. I just made 1 or 2 wraps to secure the ribs. And then look how I'm gonna whip finish. I'm going towards the bend of the hook, 1 or 2 wraps, and then 1 rep more is going to be towards the eye of the hook. I'm gonna create nice thorax area here. Cinch the knot. Pull it tight. And then pull. Just cut it. The tag end will slide under the knot. It will be hidden. I said something about bleeding. If you press marker into the thread, the ink will just bleed all the way. So you want to do it nicely and gently. So this should be enough. Another tip that I want to say here is Some markers will bleed more when you add super glue or UV, so let them set a little bit and then apply UV or super glue. What I like to do the thorax area last, meaning that I'm gonna touch ink the last. I don't want this to dilute the ink and go all over the fly. So I'm gonna just go around the fly, around the body of the fly. And when I reach the thorax area or wing case area, just go cover it. That's it. Remove the excess UV. This is almost finished fly. Now, imitative Perdigon patterns are, in my opinion, probably one of the best, even though they are not so present among anglers, I think. Because most of the time I see online, people are posting those Mylar holographic tinsels and stuff, Perdigons, and less of these more natural looking Perdigons that are actually quite great fish catchers. So basically that's it. Like, there is no much to it. Make color according to insects in your river, in your creek or whatever, and then make a couple of sizes of the actual fly, and every size cover it in at least 2 weights, and you are good to go. As I said, those ribs are not going to be as visible as they are when the fly was without UV, so they are relatively not invisible but discreet here. That's what I would say. The fly is not super big, but it's relatively heavy. It will sink like a rock, and it will catch some nice fish. So hopefully you learned something new here. I hope you like this video. Until next time, please keep safe and tight lines.